Hey, it's America's Man's Man. You know, when my parents were growing up in Boston, it was a heck of a place. The hub of the universe was a glistening, wonderful, wonderful city. You don't have to go all the way back to when the Puritans first settled in Boston to really get an appreciation for what a beautiful place it was. But then the do-gooding leftists, and when I say the do-gooding leftists, I mean these are Americans who they're kind of off the they're off the beaten path, and definitely in a bad way. They perhaps are a little bit envious about their parents. Maybe they hate their parents more than the average adolescent, and they never ever grow out of it. And so they try to figure out ways of, well, gee, I'm miserable. I don't have a successful family life, so I'm going to make it bad for everybody else. I'm going to aggrandize myself, or attempt to aggrandize myself on the back of the misery of the good Americans that are surrounding me. So they basically, these leftist elitists, or liberal elitists, if you will, they basically say, well, how can I make life miserable for everybody else? If I'm miserable, everybody else around me is going to be miserable. And so what happens is these leftist, elitist groups, they become judges. They start training people to become judges and lawyers at the likes of Harvard and Brown, the Ivy League places where they reject Christ. Christ being the foundation of the land of the free and the home of the brave, all the way back to the Puritans. Because remember, Boston was a place where you could keep your doors unlocked at night, and everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood. But all that would change with the leftists and their do-gooder agenda. And today, most recently, we've seen that, forget the deep state. You look at what Obama did. And Barack Obama, again, I'm miserable, so I'm going to make everybody around me miserable in his own sinister way. And so he would import, besides burning soldiers' Bibles, if that's not bad enough, he would import the bad people who shouldn't be living in places like Boston, but now, thanks to the do-gooder miserable leftists who hate America, the people who work in the fake news media, like WBZ, where I worked alongside these atheistic communist leftists, they're like, well, gee, we have an idea. Let's encourage a little bit more guys sticking their penises up the anuses of other guys, and that sort of thing. And yeah, let's make it interesting. They have nothing to lose because they're unsuccessful, miserable people. And the anus, I know, it's so sad, right? And you have Barack Obama importing terrorists who, again, a whole garden variety of people who shouldn't be here. And so all the normal, civil, happy, God-fearing, patriotic Americans who just want to do the very best that we can for our fellow man and woman, we end up leaving places like Boston, and we leave it to the bad people who continue to ruin it and demand even more handouts, and the leftists institute even more problems, just because they're bitter and resentful of their own families and their own fine race. And the good people who started this country, the Christians, because there's white Christian America is a good thing, and they continue to seek to dilute that, not even with races, although that's a part of it certainly, but just with a generalized, just by forcibly incentivizing the kind of people who have a terroristic agenda, who like to blow up other people, who like to fly planes into buildings, whose religion tells them that it's okay, that not that just it's okay, but that this is the way you spread your religion, by inflicting terror and evil upon other people. And so today's Boston, once a shimmering city on a hill for all the world to aspire to, to be a part of has now become a place that entices the very worst people to populate it and to stick around like that moss on a stone and basically suck the life out of it. So the Boston of today is not that safe, charming community that it once was, but rather a place which is infested by a type that shouldn't be there, that have no constitutional right to be there. If you look at all the illegals raping people left and right, and you'll find that this is a common tale across the United States, not just in Boston, not just in Atlanta, not just in San Diego, not just in Los Angeles, but from sea to shining sea. And this is the communist agenda of the left. To make America great again, we have to reinforce the good Christian ideals that established this country. And yes, again, remind people that it's good to be white, and that white people really have done so much and continue to do so much. And it's those foolish people who continue to, again, let the wrong kind of person into this country. And I'm not saying by any stretch that someone is a bad person because of their skin color, but rather because we're purposefully attracting the wrong kind of behavior, the wrong kind of personality, and we're encouraging that wrong kind of person who steals, who murders, who rapes, who, for instance, slits the throat of the anesthesiologist, other people who are doing really good things for this amazing country. And we are repelling all the good people. You can't even get a good doctor in Boston anymore because they're all leaving. Nobody wants to live there anymore because of this kind of do-gooder diversity on steroids. Let's take every single dissimilar person and try to force them into a very close quarters. And, we talked about that resentful leftist who was given all the blessings of America and chooses to rebel against it, who chooses to squander the grand American blessing rather than attempt to protect it. The leftist elitist who's, again, for whatever reason, really spied against their own American brothers and sisters, like America's Man's Man and all the wonderful people who follow me. They like to foment discord because they don't know anything else. It's their only way they feel they can express themselves. But it's taken its toll on America. Now, President Donald Trump is helping to curb that quite a bit, but we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. We've got to make sure that the wrong kind of person who shouldn't be in this America, should never have come here, and shouldn't stay here, we got to make sure that they leave. And of course, I'm talking about that illegal alien who shouldn't be here by any stretch, and other sorts of criminal elements that we just don't want, and they've been here far too long, and it's time for them to go. For AmericasMansman.com, this is Peter Vidala from just north of the hub of the universe.